This podcast you're about to listen to is an account of a tragedy which befell two podcasters, in particular, the Boo and Dean. It is all the more tragic that they were dumb and they watched this film. But if they had lived very long lives and watched many, many more bad horror films, they would not be prepared for the events that they are about to discuss to you in this podcast of the bizarre annals of American cinema. This is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation, and this is The Film Club.
Wow.
I did that in one take. I feel good.
That was a great opener. I didn't know you were going to do that today.
I winged it. I really hope it doesn't sound like shit, but yeah.
But I think that's going to be the only great thing about this episode because, wow, this movie hurt to watch.
It also hurt to record. This is the third time we've started from...
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty normal. Sometimes we'll record like maybe 10, 15 minutes and we're like, oh, that's not the route we want to go, or... let me collect my thoughts a little bit better. But no, this has just been...
We had a whole episode we scrapped because, wow, this movie is something else.
Oh, yeah.
On that note, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Film Club podcast. I'm Dean.
I'm the Boo.
And, yeah, we're talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation, starring Matthew McConaughey, Renee Zellweger. I swear I'm not making this up, people.
Yeah, I was very surprised learning about this cast list and the name change. It's Next Generation. It's Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 4.
It's the return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Also, its release is all over the place because it gets released in, 95 at a festival, and then it's shelved for 2 years, and then it's released in 97 when Renee Zellweger and McConaughey get their big breaks as mainstream actors. But it was still sitting on a shelf even after that, right? Because it got released in a theater for, a month.
And then it went, direct-to-video, I think.
Yeah, and there's still, 3 cuts of the fucking movie.
Oh, we're not watching all 3.
Oh, God, no. God, no. One of them's 9 minutes longer. And this is not even a long movie. I think this movie is less than 80. It's less than 90 minutes.
This movie felt like it went on for days. And we watched Once Upon a Time in America that went on when the sun was out, and when I was finished, the sun was setting.
Yes, that is a 4-hour movie. But Next Generation, the first hour of this felt like it took forever.
Oh, yeah.
And then the last 30 minutes, I was like, you're going way too fast for me, bro. You're aliens or you're not? You're Illuminati? What now? And then it just ends. And I'm like, I didn't
wasn't fast enough for me. It was just like, okay, we're at the part with the Illuminati. Vilmer's trying to kill himself.
Vilmer's doing the, oh god, what are they called? The Tusken Raider call of battle.
Yeah, I remember you had warned me a couple episodes back, he's gonna do this, and forgot when I was watching the movie, and then I saw it happen, and I'm like, good lord, what am I watching?
Okay. The last time I have seen this movie has to have been 10 years ago. Has to have been. Because I remember him doing the jackass. I remember Matthew McConaughey's in here and is crazy. Mm-hmm. And Renee Zellweger is in here and she's the final girl.
Yeah.
I didn't remember anything else about this movie. I kind of remembered Leatherface in a dress, but I'm like, oh, that's a scene or something like that. And I kind of remember there being this realtor lady, but I thought she was a victim. But yeah, this movie, I think it's the thing with severe trauma in your childhood where you block out dark memories. I think I blocked
that is
out.
True.
I think I blocked out this movie.
Yes, it happens.
So, have you ever even heard of this movie before? Have you seen it? Anything about it?
Hadn't heard anything. Hadn't seen anything about it. Again, this is our last installment of our Texas Chainsaw Massacre month. So, at the start of this, I just stayed with the first one. I had seen the remake in the early 2000s with Jessica Biel and
other people
in the cast. And I was kind of like, no, I'm going to stick firmly with the original film because that's a masterpiece. It's perfect.
The first one's super rough, but it goes with it being
its theme.
Yeah, the first one is a masterpiece, super suspenseful.
It feels
scary.
It's scary. It feels very much like a documentary.
Yeah, with how grainy and everything's lit in the day, and it seems so shoddily made. the first one does, and it's still the best one in the series by far.
It adds to the ambiance of the movie, because that's how it feels. You know, it's the 70s, and it could just be some kids recording their trip across Texas over the summer, and then unfortunate events happen.
That's not this movie at all.
No, this movie is just... I don't want to be rude, but it's just a jumbled mess.
That's something that has happened across the board in our podcasting. You're very forgiving of movies, even, you know, for all their shortcomings, you know?
Yeah.
It comes down, did I have fun with the movie, or did I not have fun with the movie? And I'm usually a little bit more cynical about it. I'm like, well, the movie has to, like, at least be good enough.
You mean, it's kino, boo. It's kino. You don't understand cinema.
It's cinema.
That's like 99% of our conversations.
Yeah, but I'm a little bit more cynical about this, and don't get me wrong, this movie's bad. It's real bad. But I think it's bad with a point. I think this person was trying to make art and made an abomination. But it is a beautiful mess.
And I'm going to allow you to go spiral and go down the rabbit hole, because I know you're just itching to do it. I on the other hand, feel like it's just a bad movie. I mean, I feel like they should have just maybe stuck to one theme or maybe two themes, but in this movie it's just like, you know, we're pulling stuff out of the hat. All right, that sounds interesting. Let's throw it in there.
Well, I think it is one theme. It's just they are playing, like you said, rabbit out of the hat. They're just like, my hat, you know, this is all the themes, and I'm just going to pull random shit out to make some scenes, and we'll figure it the fuck out. But, oof. Big oof.
One of those themes being, oh, someone threw a rock through my office building. Let me go flash them.
Okay, that's not a theme. That's just a thing that happens in the movie, but it makes no sense. I will give you, it makes no sense why she flashes tits. Which, also, by the way, everyone, first set of boobs in the movie. In the franchise, even.
Yeah, that shocked me, because this is a slasher franchise, which one of my big issues in this movie is there's no slashing. There's no chainsaw. In Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Return, The Revenge, whatever the hell you want to call this movie.
Does Leatherface only kill one person in the whole film? Does he only kill Barry? Does Vilmer kill everyone else?
I think so.
None of them even with a chainsaw?
No chainsaw.
Ridiculous.
No slashing.
Okay.
Just a hammer, strangulation.
Okay.
Setting people on fire.
We gotta tell people what the fuck this movie's about.
You tell them.
Okay, stop me if you've heard of this before. We have 4 teenagers at prom. One of them acts like a dick, and then they travel off into the backwoods of Texas. Then they get trapped in the middle of nowhere after a car accident. And then they go and wander around the woods at night. And any of this sound familiar yet? Any of this? Yeah. And as they're traveling, one of them stays behind to watch the car, and then the rest go to this realtor's office. And this realtor is like, I'll call my boyfriend to pick you up. He runs a tow truck. And then break through glass and tits happen. And the boyfriend that shows up to pick up the car, that's fucking Matthew McConaughey. I've seen this guy before. He's famous. And then he kills the guy. Then the rest of them come back, looking for where the fuck's our friend. Then they find this abandoned house. Fun. We love abandoned houses.
Sure.
I
mean, maybe me more than you, but sure.
And they go in, and then Leatherface appears. Leatherface captures Heather? Question? Is that it? Heather,
yeah.
Captures Heather, mimicking the scene where, you know, they capture what's-her-face from the first movie, drag her through, but it's
Sally.
now Sally. No, Sally's the one who lived, right?
Oh, yeah, Sally is the one that lived. So the other girl.
The hot pants girl.
Yeah, hot
pulls
pants.
her in, and then this becomes a parody of that scene because she breaks free of Leatherface like 4 times, and then he like throws her into the fridge, and he closes the door, and then she pops out and screams and does that like 3 or 4 times, and then she's like trapped in there, and then Barry comes in, and then he hooks Barry. Does Barry get hooked?
I forget how Barry dies.
No, Barry gets hammered and then he gets hooked.
Yeah, Barry gets a hammer to the head, just like
Kirk. Yeah. And this is all after the other brother, W.E., is...
Not WWE.
Not WWE.
Not W.C. Fields, just W.E.
This is WCW. is wandering around outside with a shotgun trying to keep them kids off his property, quoting his story. He quotes Ulysses S. Grant
in the beginning, yeah, but I don't know what he is. He just quotes a lot of historical figures, and it's just like, who cares? It's like, I don't care. You know, if I want to read a book about quotes, I have many at home. I don't want to hear you spouting off, to be or not to be, that is the question. Am I going to kill you? And it's like, well, you know, at this rate, while you're quoting somebody, I could just run away into the woods.
It is so weird, because is that character development? Is that supposed to be his shtick? Is that just bad writing? Why is he doing that?
I mean, he's only there for so long in the movie before Vilmer kills him at dinner.
No, he's in the movie a while. That's like a hour?
He's in there for a while, but then he's just killed off at dinner, and it's like, so what was the purpose of this guy? Just another body at the table?
Honestly, that's the other thing. He's the weak link of the family, right? Because he doesn't do anything.
No. Walks around with a shotgun, lets Barry go in the house.
Barry takes a piss in the house. Which, I have a question, Boo. How bad would you need to have to go to just say, this abandoned house where a gentleman just had me at gunpoint? I can definitely take a peaceful leak in here after locking him out.
Well, not to brag, but my bladder's pretty good, so I think I'd be okay and wouldn't be in the abandoned house with the cannibals. You, on the other hand, I feel like you'd still go in and use their restroom, and then thank them on your way out.
I mean, I think that's the problem. Barry was too much of a dick. He is the dick character, after all.
Barry needed to die, 2 minutes into the movie.
Okay, I know we kind of just, sped run into, when things happened, but it takes a while for things to happen, right?
Yeah.
Because them, at the prom, going into the woods...
The prom that we don't get to see, they rented out, a building, and we're like, we're gonna just put prom posters and have a couple people dressed up.
But we can't film inside the building. We can only film, really, in, the archways outside.
Or we don't have the money to dress the inside of the building or the actors, so we could afford a couple of gowns and a table where you collect the tickets.
Why does the opening of this movie look so shoddy?
I don't know, but I don't think you mentioned who made the movie, because this does tie back to the first film.
Yes, because, it's pretty open that this feels like a carbon copy of the first movie. I think that's why I was saying, stop me if you heard this before.
Well,
Group of teens travel in the woods.
Meta.
Very meta. And the person who directed this is actually the original writer of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the very, very first film.
Is he writer or co-writer?
Co-writer. It's story and writer, so I think Tobe Hooper came up with the story and he wrote it, or it was the other way around, but I believe they both, they have hands on the script.
Yeah.
And that is Kim Henkel. And this, I believe, is his only film he has ever directed.
Don't want to be rude, but yeah.
Yeah, this would not be a great resume builder.
No, it wouldn't.
And, don't get me wrong, I got a little bit of leeway with the guy, because he wanted his Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Yeah.
Tobe Hooper, he got to make a sequel. He got to lean into the black comedy. He got to lead into, more of the stuff he wanted to do, a little bit gorier, bombastic. He got to make his Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
And give it, an 80s kind of vibe.
Yeah, well, he made it super, of the time.
Yeah.
That Texas Chainsaw 2 cannot exist anywhere but 1985.
Yeah.
Whereas Next Generation, he wanted to get his sequel out. He wants to make his movie, and he's doing this satire commentary of the horror genre, and he scrapes together $600,000 to make the movie. Which, now that I mentioned $600,000 budget, it looks like a $600,000 movie.
I don't know. I was thinking maybe less.
I mean, it's a little bit better than a made-for-TV movie from the same era. This movie comes out in 95. I would say this looks a little bit better than a made-for-TV movie.
A little bit, but I think it could have been a little bit better.
Well, this could have been a lot better.
No, but
this had room to go, and it would just be mediocre.
But with that budget, you could have made things look a little bit more realistic.
I don't even know if do you mean like the effects, or do you mean just like the overall like design of the film?
Yes.
This movie has a pretty low bar on both.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Kim Henkel makes this, and throughout the movie, it really does feel like this is a beat-for-beat remake of the original.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why he would want to do that, other than him and Tobe Hooper had a falling out when they were making the first one. And he was like, I didn't get my movie on screen. Now I want to make my Texas Chainsaw movie.
I mean, you've worked on plenty of films, and it's easy to butt heads creatively.
Yeah.
And, that could be a thing where maybe he wanted to go a certain way, and Tobe Hooper was like, no, I'm the director. Let me do it my way. And he was like, finally, decades later, I get to do it my way. And it's just like, bruh, don't do it.
And also, it's 1995 when he originally releases this in South by Southwest. That is 20-ish years, 21 years from the first one, the original.
Yeah.
74. And this is the fourth movie in that franchise. The franchise was dead.
Yeah.
I don't know why somebody would greenlight this. I mean, I guess it was like self-financed a little bit, but I can't imagine he was able to talk a lot of people into being like, hey, I'm going to make this super meta, like, Leatherface movie, and it's going to be ridiculous, and the Illuminati's going to show up in the last 30 minutes. Can you give me, like, 30 grand to get this?
But it's going to harken back to 74. You remember 74 when the movie took over the world?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, okay. And I was just like, no, don't do it.
Yeah, but as the movie goes on, because that opening bit we're talking about, up until, like, the first, like, kills, right? Because
That's a long way.
It's a long way. It's like 30 plus minutes, maybe 45 before we get the first kill in the movie. At least that's what it feels like.
Probably about 45 minutes until we get a chainsaw.
Maybe
50?
Probably 50. Because I think that's when Jenny, Renee Zellweger's character, who's supposed to be this, like, nerdy...
She's the Sally character.
Yeah, she's supposed to be the Sally character.
She's the new final girl of the movie. And
Barry dogs on her the entire time they're on screen together.
And it's this whole thing of, oh, you don't know how to use your body. Oh,
you're so ugly.
Who would like you? And then she takes off her glasses like, my God, she's beautiful. And she's like, really? We're going to hash over this same, reveal?
This same trope that has been in cinema since, like, the 60s. Mm-hmm. Actually, probably even before that. Probably far before that. But it's Renee Zellweger, and it's just Renee Zellweger.
Yeah.
You look up young Renee Zellweger and put a pair of, like, thick rim Buddy Holly glasses on her, and that's just what she looks like.
Yeah.
And, Barry's like, you're a fucking dog. Man, I wouldn't stick my wick in you if they paid me. And I'm like, bruh, she's like, yeah, okay, like, her and Heather, I could definitely see them hanging out in the same, like, friend group.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, like, that far apart.
Like I said in the previous scrapped episode, Barry needed a chainsaw up the ass because he was a rude motherfucker.
Super
dogging
rude.
On women, dogging on everybody, but especially women, screw you, woman, go do this, or, get the fuck off of me. And I'm just like, bro, get out of here.
Oh, great.
Your name's Barry. You're wearing the, ruffled prom shirt. Like, get out of here.
Also, the prom get-up thing, because I kind of get it, like, thematically, where it's the prom. It's these kids going from... It's, like, the kids' last hurrah before they have to be ushered into, like, the real world, like, real adulthood. Like, that's, like, that symbolic thing of, like, prom, right? But it's, like, never really used in that way.
No.
Like, they could have just been kids traveling home from anything. Homecoming game. Could be traveling home. Could be traveling across the country to, like, see relatives for all we fucking care.
It could have been kids coming back from a concert.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that's what the fucking remake does. They're going to a Leonard Skinner... They just got back from a holiday in Mexico, and they're going to a Skinner concert in, like, East Texas. But in this, Like, the prom thing is completely superfluous. It's just to get Renee Zellweger in a prom dress and running around the woods in the dark.
In a white prom dress that they can, just destroy with mud, blood, whatever.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, her, like, quivering in the dark with the dark lighting and the smoke coming up, it's atmospheric. Like,
yeah.
It's an atmospheric look, and I'm like, okay, I can get why this as a visual thing you would want.
Yeah.
But what?
Seen it better.
I've seen it better.
It's like, if I want an atmospheric look of the woods, I'll go with The Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you want to make me afraid of my surroundings, not just the people in my surroundings, Sam Raimi did it.
Yeah, he made the woods very scary in Evil Dead. And also, when they're driving out into the woods, and I know I'm rehashing all the bullet points I kind of sped run through, but then they just get hit by a car. Out of nowhere.
That was another gripe of ours, that they never explained why this kid was speeding through the woods, not, we show, a replay or playback of this kid being chased by Vilmer or by Leatherface. He just randomly crashes into them.
Yeah, and I thought that was going to come up where it's like, oh, he's running from the family, or he's a part of the family, and he's like the crash test dummy, But no, he's just some rando. I don't even
in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, and it's like a 1-lane road in the middle of the woods, and he T-bones them.
What was his name? Remember we looked up his name on IMDb?
Yes, this is your favorite character in all of cinema. My favorite character,
yes. I'm Not Hurt.
Yes.
By Vince Brock. That is the most amazing character name I've ever heard of.
Vince Brock is a thespian among thespians. He is a artist among finger painters. I think he might be one of the greatest actors of this or any generation.
I believe so, yes.
And I'm Not Hurt is the pinnacle of his powers.
Yes.
And he plays an unconscious driver to excellence.
Yes.
Not since Bresson I've seen somebody bring such a great performance out of an actor.
I think we should give him a theater clap.
I really hope that picked up on Mike.
It might not have, but you can just imagine it.
But that's like that's how shoddy this kind of is.
Yeah.
Where.
Well, there's another character named Woman Eating Chocolates. I don't even remember that happening.
That had to have been a prom girl or a prom. No, that was the lady who was taking tickets at the prom. Sorry, I just brought up the fucking IMDb to check names, and we got some good ones. We have Girl in Red Dress.
Ooh,
Heckler, that's solid. This is just funny. I just think this is funny to me.
Yeah.
That, because I've written scripts before, and yeah, sometimes where you're like, this character is in one scene, he doesn't have like any characterization.
Yeah.
He's just, guy that hits the car. Mm-hmm. You can just call him Ted. That's less letters on paper than I'm Not Hurt.
Or Driver.
I mean, it's probably an inside joke. I think that's the problem with this movie. The movie is trying to be this really in-jokey, meta horror film that none of the jokes are landing.
No.
I could see this movie working if somebody like... I don't know. Actually, like Sam Raimi, you mentioned. Mm-hmm. I think the movie would have looked better if Sam Raimi took it. I think David Lynch would have made a really interesting thing out of this script.
I think that's what you had said after we watched the movie, that you felt like Kim, what's his last name?
Henkel. Kim Henkel.
That you felt like he was trying to go the David Lynch route of creating this film, and it's like, yeah, I could kind of see it, but... David Lynch really pushes the boundaries.
Yeah, well, the thing is with like most Lynch films, I mean, we watched Eraserhead together. We've
Twin Peaks, Fire
Walk with Me. He is really good at taking a idea or a thought or a theme and just stretching it and moving it around, and he drops them into these really weird and abstract worlds that shouldn't make sense.
Yeah,
and makes it compelling, and that's kind of what Henkel's doing, because all the kids are, like, straight out of the worst B-slasher films you can think of. Yeah. All of them. The villains are all way over the top in a completely different movie, acting in some macabre theater. And then when Rothman shows up, the Illuminati shows up, that's some, like, meta level that's talking about, like, Curse of Michael Myers, or Freddy's Dead, or shit like that. And I'm like, if Lynch took this, I could see this working, but even then, this feels like Kim Hango wrote this movie after he marathoned Twin Peaks, and was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do that. That's what I feel this is.
And my opinion on this, no. Twin Peaks is the reason it's Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks is good.
You can't just recreate it and, ooh, okay, we'll set Leatherface in the town of Twin Peaks. Like, no.
And honestly, I think that's why The Return works so well. I know you hate The Return, but The Return is great because it goes so far away from the original two seasons.
I don't hate it. It goes super quiet, like 2001. And it's a lot of artistry, and it's just like, I just want to see
Coop
I want to see Coop be Coop, and I want to see the gang reunited, and not, okay, we're in this beautiful black and white scene and he's floating through space and it's just quiet for like 10-15 minutes. Like, no, I want to see Coop getting a slice of pie and a damn fine cup of coffee.
I love that, because that sums up our entire film conversations. It was like, I want Coop eating a slice of pie and coffee, and I'm like, I want Coop floating in the nether, and I want to watch that for 20 minutes.
Hey, after we went to go see Firewalk with me at the Frida, I think you were more than happy to go with me to Dunkin' and get coffee and donuts and just sit there and just
Twin Peaks,
bask in the Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks puts you in the mood for coffee and donuts. It is like a drug for that.
Yes.
But back to the movie. But that's the thing. That's how it feels. It's like he's remaking Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He's throwing a lot of Twin Peaks over it, or Lynchian ways about it, because it's a meta commentary, and a lot of people feel that's what Twin Peaks is. It's a meta commentary of soap operas and the television culture, and that's what this kind of is. And then he's still trying to go a step beyond that and try and respond to Tobe Hooper's black comedy of Texas Chainsaw 2.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of things going on, and it just doesn't come together as a good movie.
No, it's, like I said earlier, it's really just a mess. And I know you really sat through it and deciphered it, and you're like, oh, I can see the artistry that he was trying to... And for me, it just felt like,
Just could not keep you there for the 90-minute runtime, 80-something minute runtime.
No. It was just like, okay, McConaughey, he's great, he's chewing the scenery.
He's going full Nick Cage.
Full Cage, full Nicholson, and it's just like, great, but just like not enough to keep me enticed in the movie.
I understand. Where were we? I think the movie, we had just gotten to, like, Barry's dead, Heather's trapped up, and it's just Jenny wandering around the woods for like another 20 minutes before she gets captured.
Well, I mean, she's captured so many times.
Yes, they have her jumping. She jumps off the roof, and
which is pulling a Sally.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they do the full chase through the house, just like Sally with Leatherface. I think he's even... Is he wearing the grandma getup, or is he wearing the yellow apron?
I think he's in the yellow apron. He doesn't wear... No. He's in the yellow apron the first time he chases her. Then he's in the grandma getup the second time he chases her, and then he's in the Leatherface evening gown of the summer collection.
The lady face.
The lady face in the third chase. Yeah, she gets chased 3 times, and each one is trying to top itself from the last one.
Yeah, because with Heather, she has the most meta capture. He's wearing the leather apron.
Yeah.
He pulls her into the house the same way that Hot Pants gets pulled in. The first one, the iconic...
Like, yeah, the Gunnar Hansen one, she runs out, she doesn't even make it off the steps before Gunnar Hansen swoops her up and pulls her back into the house.
And I mean, it's such a striking image that he's got her with one arm, and she's got hands out and feet out, just like...
flailing around,
like
she's
can't
falling, get loose.
And it's just like, with his brute strength, he's got her with one arm, and it's just like, that's horrifying, being pulled into a house, so we get that again, and it's like, oh, cool, we're getting that. Oh, cool, he's going to throw her in the freezer. Oh, cool, he's going to put her on the meat hook. And, it's harkening back to 74. And it's just like, no.
It's playing itself for laughs. I think that scene is making fun of itself, where That's why I think it's such a meta commentary. It's making fun of itself, saying, "Hey, you remember this thing from the first movie?
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, of course, Leatherface is big and strong, but this is a grown woman. She'd be able to worm her way a little bit. He's only holding on to her with one arm.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Then he throws her into the fridge, and it's like, oh, she just pops right out because there's no lock on the fridge.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. And then it's like, oh, hooks Barry up on the meat hook, and he just kind of like, doesn't he fall off? No, he hooks Heather on, and she like falls off.
She's like wiggling around, so I think she manages to get herself off.
Which is like,
ouch,
impressive.
But yeah. It's like, you have that bar ahead of you, you just grab onto the bar and maybe do a pull-up and...
Okay, Boo, I don't know about you, but I don't think I could freeform a sick pull-up with a 12-inch hook in my spine.
I don't know, I mean, if you want to get out of that house, you might try it.
True. But... But that's the thing, she gets loose, and Jenny's running away, and Jenny runs all the way back to the realtor's office, which, I don't know if it's like a mile away from the house, or if it's 10 miles away from the house. It's never clear.
It's not clear, but they all kind of estimate that they walked about a mile away from the car accident.
Okay, so if it's like that, then the house has to only be like, maybe 2-3 miles in the other direction?
Yeah, I mean, they're in the middle of the woods, so who knows how far away the realtor office and the houses.
Yeah.
Especially with, being able to run through the trees, you should be able to get there a little bit faster.
Well, I'm just saying because the geography of the film doesn't make a lot of sense.
No.
Because Jenny gets back to the realtor's office after Barry gets got and all this other stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and the realtor, Dana?
Darla.
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 One more time. Darla?
Darla.
Darla and Vilmer capture her, and Darla just throws her in the back of the fucking trunk.
Yeah.
Right? And just like locks her up and be like, all right, honey, we're going to take you to the house, but I'm going to go get pizza first. And tells W.E., make sure everything's all taken care of by the time I get back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want Vilmer to yell at me. And that's when, again, the geography of this gets weird.
Yeah.
Because she's able to just drive into a city, like a real city with a highway, and there's police officers, and there's kids running around on their bikes, and there's a Walmart in the background, and she's at Bud's Burgers?
I think so.
And she orders pizza, and there's a vegetarian pizza in there, which, what the fuck? And...
Well, I mean, all that barbecue all the time, it's not good for the cholesterol. You gotta order a veggie pizza every now and then.
Wait a minute, I just realized, are they not cannibals in this?
Well, we have a dinner scene, but I don't think we see anybody eating, because they're eating pizza.
Yeah, I think... Are they not even cannibals in this?
Maybe they're trying to eat healthier for this film.
For the kids.
Yes.
Of course.
For the 90s kids.
For the 90s kids.
Which would be us.
Of course. Jesus Christ. If you were a small child and your parents let you watch this, they made a mistake. But she orders pizza.
They should have let you watch 74 instead.
God, no. Don't let your children watch that movie. That movie is horrifying. So they get the fucking pizza, they get back to the house, they find Heather after she's escaped, take her ass back, and again, Heather, you're my fucking hero. Like, you got this.
I mean, Heather just takes a beating in this film. A lot of these things that happen to her, she should have just died right away. And it's like, no, let's see how many more things we could do to this poor girl.
She gets beaten.
Yeah.
She gets stabbed.
Meat hooked.
She gets meat hooked. She gets set on fire. Does she get shot by the shotgun?
I don't remember, but she's in the first car crash.
Oh yeah, she's in the car crash, and she makes note that it fucked up her forehead.
Well, she's got that little gash on her nose too, so
Yeah.
it's like, she probably hit the steering wheel.
Is she just a conduit of pain for this movie? All the pain that all the other characters... That usually in like a horror movie, all the characters get hurt a little bit and then they die. But since everybody else in the movie got like killed right away, is she just getting all the like gruesome bullshit that would usually be spread amongst like a cast of 8 characters?
I mean, they treated this poor girl like the crash dummy.
Yeah.
Let's see what else, we could put her through. Oh, okay, let's put her in a cannon and, shoot her across the field. Okay.
And honestly, the actress who's playing Heather, Lisa Marie Newmeyer?
Newmeyer, yeah.
She honestly strikes me as, like, the perfect kind of person to be in these horror movies. Because, yeah, she's not... I'm pretty sure the bad acting's on purpose. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, I did love that she was driving Barry crazy the entire time that he was, alive.
Made her the best character in the movie.
Barry, can you get me a water?
Like, I'm fucking dying here. Also, why does she have, like, this Valley Girl accent when she's supposed to be from, like, Central Texas? Or, like, I think she's supposed to be in, like, East Texas, right?
I mean, maybe Valley Girl came out that year.
Maybe it did. Who knows?
Because we're not sure, what year it is in the film.
I think it's supposed to be contemporaneously, like 95.
So yeah, maybe she's influenced by the films and the shows she's seen on TV, and we're gonna go the very Valley Girl way,
right?
Or she'd be a Visco girl now.
Totally. What's a Visco girl?
I'll explain it to you later.
Oh God, that's gonna be a weird conversation, isn't it?
Nah, you'll just think it's funny.
Well, all right then. So they bring her home and they have the dinner scene, right? This is after McConaughey does all the coke that Hollywood could provide him on a $600,000 budget, and
all right.
goes fucking insane. He starts spitting on Renee Zellweger. He takes his, like, 2 fingers and shoves them into her mouth.
Isn't that like a double fish hook?
Yeah, he starts fucking fish hooking Renee Zellweger, and it's not like a trick shot or a gag. He's just doing this to her, and Renee Zellweger looks like, "What the fuck are you doing, Matt? Why?"
I mean, I remember this conversation we had in the car, and you're like, "Do you think he asked for permission, or he just stuck his fingers?" And I'm like, "No, I think he asked her permission first. Hey, can I do this?" Or maybe it was written into the script, because I mean, just to do that, I'd either bite the person's fingers and be like, I don't know what the fuck you're doing.
You're like, I'm a professional. I'm not getting mouth banged by your fingers here.
This was not written in the script. You're not supposed to stick your fingers in my mouth.
God.
I mean, let alone she gets her face licked by the Illuminati, like,
oh, yeah.
30 minutes later.
Yeah. Okay, so, because they have, like, the dinner scene, and Matthew McConaughey's going insane, and then the Illuminati guy shows up. And it's the first time we see Vilmer actually afraid of anybody.
Yeah.
And the Rothman character, what the fuck is he?
I don't know. What the fuck is those 3 piercings on his stomach? Like, what is that?
With the weird, like, ritual scarring going on?
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know what's happening. Then
also, his hair. His
Yeah.
hair doesn't look right.
Yeah.
It looks like a wig, but I can tell that it's his hair. It looks like they shaved it in a way so his real hair looked like a cheap wig.
Is that the Illuminati way?
I think it is. Is he an alien?
I don't know.
Oh, God. So, what? Was this, like, just an X-Files thing? Because it's...
Like I said, just pulling stuff out of the hat. Boom. X-Files. Yes. Let's make this a sci-fi, horror, comedy, slasher, thriller. Drama.
Romance.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's so weird. Because he comes in and just licks Renee Zellweger's face like she is, like, the last rib on the rack, and ooh, it is really uncomfortable.
Yeah, especially seeing how they made the film and how everyone was basically sharing a Winnebago.
Mm-hmm.
And, the front was, like, the hair and makeup, and I guess you could rest in the back or change. Like, yeah, so I've had, if I was her, fingers in my mouth and someone licked my face.
And she's also been crawling around on the ground for, like, days at that point.
It's like, there's not enough Purell, soap, and water in this world to make my face feel normal and not untainted by germs.
Could you imagine Renee Zellweger still gets weirded out around Matthew McConaughey? They go to the Oscars, see each other from across the room, and he's like, "Hi there, darling." And Renee Zellweger's like, oh, hands. I still have nightmares about those fingers.
I think that'd be more me than her, because I don't know if she's a germaphobe, but yeah.
Jesus. Oh, man. But that's, like, basically...
Just thinking about that gave me the chills.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Keep those fingers away from me.
Oh. So, Rothman shows up. It's revealed it's all an Illuminati conspiracy. All these movies are done because of, the Illuminati.
They're hired by the Illuminati to do these killings.
Yeah.
Because they want to bring back horror.
Horror. Bring back the evil, the terror. Which is like, okay.
I mean, I thought he was cutting like a good WWE promo.
Honestly, if they had Jake the Snake Roberts in this role, it would have been different. I think they could have gotten the Oscar. But then Jenny escapes, and then she... Again. This is the final time she escapes. She escapes, and she runs off, and Leatherface and Vilma are chasing her. And, again, in the middle of this empty field...
Yeah. At least it's daytime,
At least it's daytime. Daytime's finally come. An RV rolls by, and it's this lovely older couple just pounding back Bloody Marys.
I mean, these are the biggest Bloody Marys I've ever seen outside of, like, a resort.
Actually, that's a good way to describe them. You know those, like, beer bones that you get at, like, football games, soccer games, whatever? And they're, like, a foot tall with big old, like, bowl things on the bottom and top? They make those, but it's just giant Bloody Marys. And they're both just
let alone, Grandpa's driving the RV... And Grandma comes out of the back and goes, honey, I made her drinks. And she's, double fisting these mile-long Bloody Marys. And, she comes and sits down. And the two of them are just drinking on the country road at, like, I'm trying to think when the sun would go up. So 7 in the morning? 6:30 in the morning?
Jesus. And then Renee Zellweger runs out and starts trying to wave him down. And she's like, oh no, Granddaddy, don't stop for that, crazy bitch. And
there's a monster chasing her. Get her!
Exactly. Then Leatherface comes out with a chainsaw dressed in drag. And she's like, oh God, no, lady, get the fuck in here. I thought you were just some crazy person. You're being chased by the crazy people. And then, you're like, oh, okay, that's it. That's the end of the movie. Because that's traditionally, that would be like the end of most of these chainsaw movies, right?
She's going to run off into the sunrise.
Yeah, and they're going to be like, oh no, and we're going to get the Leatherface dance. But oh no. That's when Vilmer comes out with the tow truck.
Yes.
And he doesn't ram the RV to, like, make it flip. He just has Leatherface kind of brush against the side with the chainsaw, and then the RV just kind of rolls over a few times.
Yeah. I
think that was a drunk driving incident.
I mean, that is a lot of alcohol to consume. Who knows if they'd been drinking prior to the Mile High Bloody Mary that they were having.
I imagine that Grandma went to sleep and Granddad was like, I'm just gonna drive us through these roads, it'll be fine. I got some Willie Nelson on the radio and a 24-pack of beer next to me, and I'll just drive through the night. And then, finishes the 24-pack. I think this might have been a case where drunk driving does kill. But it didn't kill Renee Zellweger.
So now this movie has turned into part PSA.
Part PSA, just a small part. But, Jenny pops right out, totally fine.
Yeah. Leaves the two of them.
I assume they're dead.
Yeah, I mean, drinking and driving.
Drinking and driving. It's a slippery road. And then Vilmer and Leatherface start circling her like fucking sharks. And then she manages to, like, slip away just enough for a crop dusting plane to come out of nowhere.
Or Illuminati plane.
Or the Illuminati plane, yes.
Because it just comes after Vilmer.
And
it clips him, and then they take off.
Is this a North by Northwest reference?
Well, I mean, we've had Lynchian, now we have Hitchcockian.
Sure.
All the Ians are in it.
All the Ians. And it kills Vilmer, and then Rothman shows up, the Illuminati guy, and he's like,
come with me if you want to live.
Basically gives her an Arnold. And she jumps in, and they drive off, and he's like,
Put the cookie down!
Oh, God, get to the chopper! And... I'm sorry, I was watching this reality show alone. And
You're welcome.
Thank you. And one of the seasons on Netflix, and it just has, like, a guy, and they're alone in the middle of the woods. And he's just trying to, like, just survive. And he's just talking to himself, because he's like, I found no one to talk about, I'm bored. And I love the subtitle. It says, in Arnold voice, get to the chopper!
Yeah, I remember when he says that.
I just love that Netflix has the forethought to put in the closed captioning, brackets, Arnold voice, brackets. I love because it's a Schwarzenegger joke. It's
yeah,
so
but
good.
someone might get confused if they don't know that quote. They're thinking, "Oh, are they bringing in a chopper to rescue him?"
I would love to meet the human being that does not know the Arnold Schwarzenegger quote, "Get to the chopper." I would like to meet the one person on planet Earth that does not know this.
There's probably someone out there.
Name one. Name one that's over 10. You can't name your two infant nephews.
Well, I don't know everybody on this earth. But I'm saying there's someone out there.
Because they don't exist.
Uh-huh.
Back to the movie. So Rothman, he's in the car and he's like, "I'm so sorry, Jenny. This was supposed to be a spiritual experience. It was supposed to transcend the medium, but it's simply been an abject failure." And that right there is the director dropping all pretense and talking directly to the audience.
And I felt just like Renee Zellweger. I was just like, fuck you, man. Like, you put me through all of this and no chainsaw?
No chainsaws.
No chainsaw kills. This is a horror movie. No chainsaw kills. We got to see him break out some windows on the RV.
That is the least bad thing about this movie. But I think that's the thing. The director openly admits in the film itself, this is supposed to be a transcendent experience, but it's just kind of shit. Yeah. And then it ends with Jenny at the hospital being talked to by a EMT and...
Or he's a deputy.
Being talked to by a deputy saying, "Don't worry, honey, we'll get them. It's all over now." As Marilyn Burns is pushed through the hospital by the actor who played Francis in the first one. It's just... It's literally the characters from the first movie just walking by Jenny.
Yeah, the deputy is the grandpa in the first movie, and then you have Francis.
No, it's Franklin. We didn't even talk about the grandpa in this movie.
Which
is... I love him. I love him so much.
Which I didn't understand the whole premise with the grandpa in the first movie, where it's like, so is he like a vampire? You know, you feed him a little bit of blood and he comes back. But in this movie, he gets like a whole new wardrobe change. He kind of looks like...
Oh god, Grandpa Munster. That's what I got from him.
No, I was thinking like... kind of like the trolls from Frozen.
I don't know.
So I was like, he doesn't look very vampiric.
I just love that he's at the dinner scene. The dinner scene's happening. Then I think that, like, Leatherface starts yelling and Vilmer starts going crazy. And at first, you'll think it's just a dead body. Because there's like a whole family of tourists that are just dead.
Yeah.
Dead at the table. And you think he's a dead body. And then he just gets up, grabs a knife, and just leaves. He just gets up, grabs like a knife, cuts a bit of pizza, and walks out of the scene and out of the movie.
Well, Grandpa's had enough of their shit. I mean, how many family members does he have to get, passed along to? How many more antics can he deal with?
Wait, do you think that every time Leatherface loses a family, right, he picks up Granddad and they have to bum around to the rest of the relatives?
I guess. I mean, you burn through some of the family, it's like, all right, well, we need a new place to live and more people to care for us, so... Aunt and Uncle, I haven't seen you in like 15 years.
Uncle Vilmer, how the hell you doing?
We're moving in.
Jesus. But yeah, so that's how the movie ends, and it's like super sequel baity, but I can't imagine anyone would want more of this version of Texas Chainsaw, because we didn't even get into like Leatherface.
No, and I mean, having to sit through this movie to get the brief cameos at the end is not worth.
Not even close.
Or, getting through it to see him do the Leatherface chainsaw dance, not worth.
Yeah. Because this Leatherface, because Leatherface has never been like the main villain of the franchise, but he's been the main icon of the franchise.
Yeah, he's the icon, and I guess main villain because he's the man with the chainsaw.
Well,
that's what people think of, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you think of Leatherface.
I always feel like the family, like the hitchhikers, he's the actual one like killing people. They're the ones like propelling things. He's the muscle kind of thing.
But when people haven't seen the movies and you just kind of go based off of the title, everyone assumes it's Leatherface that's at the helm when he really isn't.
He's the face of the franchise.
Yeah.
But is this Leatherface?
No, this isn't Leatherface. I mean, I'm kind of a purist when it comes to my icons, so to see who he is in the first film and in this film, where he's constantly screaming and kind of crying and kind of, being like this weaker character. It's like, this isn't the Leatherface that we grew up with.
This isn't even recognizable.
No.
Because he dresses up in, like, the gown and the woman's suit, and he's at like, the hour mark, something like that.
Yeah.
And he's in it for the rest of the movie, and it feels like it's a joke on the icon, right? It's a joke on the character, where it's like, oh, Leatherface, he's this weird, androgynous, like, thing. He kills people and wears their flesh.
And it's like, I love androgyny, but I wasn't getting that. And it was kind of confusing, because it's like, so what are we doing? Is this another ploy, another trick that he's going to use, where maybe he pretends to be a woman and, gentlemen try to console this crying woman, and then he breaks out the chainsaw and, slaughter, and like, that would be a cool concept, but it's never really established what's going on.
Yeah, and it's a thing where it's been shown in previous films, I know at least the first one, where he'll wear different faces and different, like, skin masks, and that will make him act a different way. But this is, like, borderline offensive to how far it's going, because he's in, like, heels and the gown and all this other stuff, and I think that they're trying to play it for laughs. They're trying to get you to laugh at this character who's, it's like, is he transgender? Is he just crazy? Is he, like,
he's just in drag?
Is he just in drag? Is that just how he rolls?
Yeah, I didn't see why they need to pursue that, because they didn't pursue it in a positive way. Maybe he wants to change, he wants to be something different, this is who he wants to be. Mm-hmm. It's just suddenly, this is what this is who he is, and now he's, really meek, and Renee Zellweger's character can tell him, to shut up and sit down, and he just kind of, and sits in his chair, and it's just like, okay, so is Leatherface just gone, and he's now whoever this woman is? But then he chases her
with the chainsaw. And still cries and whines, and it's just the thing where, has Leatherface ever been better than the first movie?
No.
Has just the first movie been good? Have all of them just been bad except the first movie?
Yes.
All right, everybody, we're here to the roundup part now.
Yeah, because, the Leatherface we have in the first film, huge guy, terrifying. We kind of get to see the complexity of, he's not attacking people just to attack.
He's defending himself. He's
defending himself because they're coming into his home, and let alone he's brutally murdering people that are coming into his home. But in the second movie, he's air thrusting with the chainsaw, and he's in love, and it's just like, okay, that doesn't make sense, but it's the 80s. A lot of things didn't make sense in the 80s.
You're like, the movie is already being ridiculous. We'll roll with it, whatever.
Yeah, and then we get Leatherface in 90?
In 90, yeah. Leatherface in Leatherface.
Yeah, and he was kind of just bland in that movie.
Yeah, he was stepping into traditional slasher role, basically. That's what he was in the third movie.
Yeah.
He didn't really have a character. He was the slasher.
Yeah, there was no personality to him, just kill, and there he goes. And then in this movie, he changes a lot, but it's not like you see the progression of his change. It's just a lot of screaming, and then, suddenly he's in full drag, and he's trying to be, I don't know, just another person in the family, maybe? Because
Dana? Or Darla? I don't know.
I don't know, because, he is, like, I think his mother or the grandma, because he's wearing the pearls and, like, the powdered wig, the gray wig, so it's like, okay, I could see, he's trying to maybe assimilate the character of the mother or the grandmother, the maternal. And then this one is just like, he's trying to have fun, I guess, but they don't really establish why.
He's crazy. That's probably why.
Maybe, but it's like, don't do it that way. Give some explanation. For icons, for me, it's like, it would be like taking Michael Myers out of the jumpsuit,
Hort's like taking Michael Myers and dedicating 90 minutes of a 2.5-hour movie to giving him a very deep and detailed backstory of his childhood.
Yeah.
Where it's like, no, the point of Michael Myers is you don't know anything about him.
And that's what makes him scary.
I think that's the thing with Leatherface. Like, the part... Actually, that's the thing with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The part that makes this franchise scary, at least with the first one, is that they're just this weird, backwoods, hillbilly family that eats people. And they're brutal, but they're good at it. Because in the first movie, you can tell this isn't the first group of teens they got.
Yeah.
And for the most part, they won. Yeah, Sally got away, but she's destroyed. Yeah, she killed the hitchhiker, but, you know, the other ones are going to be there. They're still going to keep on going.
Yeah.
And that's, like, the thing. The family's the scary part. Leatherface isn't really the scary part.
He's the muscle.
Yeah, he's the muscle. Usually you have the cook character who's, like, the brains, and you have the hitchhiker
who lures in the people.
And he's the real fucking bad guy.
Yeah, because he's so charming, and you think, oh, you know, he's just being nice. He's giving us directions, trying to help us out, and it's...
Or he's a whack job and slices his palm open and marks the veins, demonic wounds.
And that's why I was just kind of like, this movie is such a mess. Yeah. I mean, none of the following Texas Chainsaw Massacre films have been scary after the first film.
None in this run of the franchise. The original 4. But, okay. Let's just talk in earnest about the franchise overall. Because we've watched the original. Because after this, they reboot the franchise. Because they know it's over. They can't revive this. They can't bring any of it back.
Yeah.
Where did it go wrong?
By making a sequel.
Yo, you just blatant.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy the second film after, you know, having time to stew and think about it. And, you know, I love Chop Top. But I think kind of like, we were having this conversation about the Halloween franchise. Yeah. Where it was such a success, you know, knocked it out of the park, and all the studios were like, you need to make a second one. And John Carpenter was like, no, I want to leave it as kind of like a standalone film. But, you know, studios don't listen. So they went and they made, you know, all these sequels. And it was just like, I think it would have just had been, you know, the ultimate scare to keep it as the only film where it's just a random guy. Yeah. And with the original Texas Chainsaw film, it would have been, you know, just as scary if, you know, yeah, it's this random family that people just happen to encounter if they go to this gas station or they pick up this hitchhiker and you're never seen again. And then to progress the story of, you know, okay, we're joining, you know, chili cook-off challenges across Texas, or the Sawyer Family in part 4, or the Illuminati in part 4, sorry. Yeah. Sawyer Family in part 3.
Yes, yeah. It's...
Because there's never really a storyline that's written with each film where we see the progression of time and, you know, how things are changing and evolving. Kind of like what we're seeing with the new Halloween reboot, where, you know, we're seeing the same story progress and how time has changed things. And this one, it's just like, they're all standalone films. And it doesn't really feel cohesive.
Yeah, I think that's the main issue with this franchise, is there's just no meat for sequels. There's nothing to chew on.
Yeah, because, I mean, Sally survives in the first one, but in the second film, they already say that she was comatose. Yeah. And then in the third film, she died from her injuries or whatever, or her, you know, her spirit just gave up and she let herself die, something like that. It's like, you know, had they kind of made her a final girl like Laurie Strode, where Laurie Strode is just trying to live her life and Michael keeps coming back. Okay, we've got some meat on the bone. But with this, it's just like...
But that's the thing. Leatherface doesn't have that mythos. Yeah. And that's the problem. There's not... This doesn't have mythos. Yeah. Like, that's the biggest issue with this franchise as a whole, is out of the first film, it's just, there are these crazy rednecks in the middle of nowhere that eat people. Yeah. End of story. They have a granddad that's, like, ancient. They feed him blood to keep him alive. Mm-hmm. They used to work in a slaughterhouse.
One of them owns a gas station and he sells human flesh out of it. The other one's a crazy hitchhiker you think is like a nom vet.
Yeah.
Kind of. And then you have the big oaf who butchers people in the house and doesn't go out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, where are you going after that? Because it's the whole family unit.
Mm-hmm.
One of them dies at the end of the movie. And any room for sequel is like, well, we'll just follow Leatherface doing the exact same thing. And then they're like, well, we don't want to do the literal exact same movie. So they make 2. And then they realize, well, 2's not where we want to go either. And then they're like, okay, we'll go with 3, which is the traditional slasher sequel, which was just bland.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we'll go in a whole new direction. And then they make 4. And that is not a direction they wanted to go down. It just, yeah, I think I 100% agree with you. The movies, the franchise's main flaw is that there's more than one movie in the franchise.
Yeah.
But that first movie, though.
Kino.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974. Masterpiece of cinema. Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 is...
80s Kino.
It's pretty decent for what it is as a cheesy 80s movie.
I mean, let alone, they carry around the hitchhiker with them.
And it's so obviously a puppet.
It's so funny, though.
Look, I ain't gonna tell you it's a good movie. I'll say it's on its own merits, it's fine.
Yes.
Then you have Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Bland as can be. You bite into it and it tastes like paper. But at least it's not Texas Chainsaw Massacre for Next Generation. Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation, Return of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, whatever the fuck title this movie is. This movie is
a disaster.
So bad. So bad. Is this the worst film we have watched on the podcast?
It might be. Because, we haven't seen the Netflix one. And
I've heard people horrified of that one. That movie's awful.
Yeah, and that's why I'm kind of like, I'm wondering if maybe that's the worst Texas Chainsaw film, even though they kind of have him looking more like a butcher character in that one. The mask looks...
all fucked up.
Yeah, it looks all sorts of fucked, but I don't know. I think this might be one of the worst films. And it's sad because Leatherface is, a horror icon. I love the character. I'm afraid of the character. Mm. But it's just... yeah, the movie is just so all over the place that it's just like, I can't really follow along with what's going on in the story. Yeah.
And you know what? That's another thing about this franchise, the character, is Leatherface is an icon based off of one movie.
Yeah.
Every other movie after that has done everything in its power to demystify Leatherface and drag that iconography through the dirt. Like again, Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, they're the Trinity. Yeah. They are the Trinity of slashers. No one's gonna argue. You can't put anybody else up there.
Nope.
The Halloween franchise has a bunch of shit in it.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of garbage. But it never fell out of the public consciousness. There was always one every couple of years. The first movie's a masterpiece.
Yes.
The second one's actually pretty decent.
It's alright.
Yeah. You don't like the second one? You know what? I'm going to err on your side. I haven't seen the second one in, forever.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen it, too. But, yeah, it's alright. I really liked with the new franchise that we have, how the first film in it rebooted the whole, he's a stranger to her. Yeah. It's not, they're related, it's a family thing. It's just, no, this just happens to be a person that saw her.
And wants to get the fuck out of her.
Yeah, so it's like, that's more scary than, it's a family member that has an issue, which is also scary.
It's a different kind of scary.
It's a different kind of scary, but just to have, you just happen to have this encounter with somebody that you don't see, and this person is after you your entire life, basically. Up until you're,
dead.
Up until you're dead. And I think that's kind of, what this movie, or this franchise needs, where, there's two characters, just the unkillable one and the killer that just, can't hit his target.
But that's the thing. I think that's what I was bringing up with Freddy, Jason, Michael, they're the icons because they have an internal mythos, continuity. They have a world.
Yeah.
Jason, there's not a main character that survives past a single movie.
No, we go to Jason movies to see Jason.
Exactly.
It's like, we don't care, who's the survivor. It's like, we want to see what cool things he does with his machete.
And the Jason movies are the same movie over and over again.
And his costume does change throughout time because, he's dead, he's brought back to life, he's a zombie. Well, he's always been a zombie.
And I think that's the thing. The Jason movies, or the Friday the 13th movies, have that internal continuity, and it's like, oh, the character of Jason evolves, and as you watch the movies, you see everything change. It's the thing where you turn the dial real slowly for the crazy to get turned up, and that's what the Friday the 13th movies are. They get crazier and crazier as they go on, but you like that because it's dipping into a nice warm bath that's starting to heat up.
Yeah.
The Nightmare on Elm Street movies are super imaginative. The Halloween movies are iconic, and they're crazy, and it's like doing lines of coke trying to make up what the fuck that timeline is. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre has none of that.
No.
It doesn't have a bulk of movies that you see the progression of the character. It's not very imaginative, really, in a good way. And it's not crazy weird enough for you to, again, do lines of coke and try and make sense of the Michael Myers timeline.
Yeah, and of the slashers, Robert Englund has, the only slasher where it's him continuously through
all the films.
Through his franchise, except for the standalone reboot that they did.
Yeah.
But it's like, we stick with our horror icons, and it's like, okay, the movie's probably not going to be that great, but I've got to see it because I love this icon. And with this one, it's just like, yeah, we should have just stayed with the first film. And that's okay if it's just a one and done, because it's an amazing one and done.
True. Very true. And that's kind of the sad reality of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. It's a one-movie franchise.
Yeah.
I know I have a friend who says Halloween is a one-movie franchise. Halloween's not a one-movie franchise. None of the movies in the Halloween canon are as close to as bad as Texas Chainsaw Next Generation.
No. I mean, I'm, avid Halloween fan. I'm wearing my Haddonfield shirt right now. But, yeah, if they hadn't done all the movies and we just had the one and the reboot that we're getting right now, I'd be totally cool with that. Because it would be a cool thing to see,
a real 40 years later.
Yeah, a real 40 years later, and seeing Laurie trying to adapt to life after, this whole ordeal. But
that's not the world.
It's like, no, it's not the world, and, I love the films in between. They're not my favorite, but I will sit there and I will marathon through them. I love H2O.
Yeah, I know you love H2O.
Even though the mask is just like, what is going on? It's CGI.
It's so god-awful.
But it's such a good movie. It's got ties in with Psycho.
And I think that's the thing. Like, through all these franchises, like Halloween, some of the movies are bad to, like, mediocre, but none of them are this bad. Mm-mm. None of them go off the rails as hard.
Yeah.
At worst, they're boring.
Yeah.
This has a boring film, a crazy film, and an awful film.
Yeah.
But that's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, everybody.
Yeah, and it was interesting to go through the rest of the franchise. I kind of broke my rule of I'm not going to watch anything but the original. Mm-hmm. But I'm kind of glad that I know what has happened throughout the franchise, even though it's not the same storyline.
Yeah, and I'm sorry if I'm being Debbie Downer about it, but it's like I loved this franchise as when I was younger because I thought Next Generation, oh, that movie was hilarious. Oh, it's like a black comedy. It'll be fun. And I watched it and I'm like, no, this movie's bad.
Yeah, I don't think it made me laugh at all.
I did laugh when Darla started smacking Heather with a stick.
Oh,
trying to kill her and just couldn't.
That was so ridiculous. That was the weakest hits with the stick I've ever seen. Just kind of like, it was funny. They're just like, what are you doing? If you're gonna hit her with the stick and Heather is laying on the floor like, please don't hit me. It's taking me all this energy to crawl out of the house. And Darla's just like, yeah, let me whack you a couple times in the head with the stick. I'm like, what's that gonna do?
Oh. It's going to get us out of this movie.
Yes, it is. So next month, new theme. Next month is Dean's birthday. So he's taking over the entire month of September.
Yes, I am. Dean's finally given the reins. I'm going to program this entire next month. And in honor of my birthday, and also to tie in with us leading into the Halloween season, I'm going to pick a director. One of my favorite directors, who's also a master of the genre film, who has made probably some of the greatest horror films ever, at least of the last 50 years.
Is he near and dear to my heart?
Very near and dear to your heart. But we're not going to watch your favorite movie of his. We're going to watch mine. But we're going to be watching John Carpenter's filmography.
I'm excited.
Not the whole filmography. We're going through the run, which is this 10-year run of films that John Carpenter had, or these 10 films he had, and they are just bangers after bangers after bangers.
It's solid gold.
It's solid gold. It's Assault on Precinct 13 all the way to They Live. You in there you get Halloween, you get The Fog, you get The Thing, you get Starman, you get Big Trouble in Little China. You get all these films. John Carpenter really does have a golden track record.
Oh yeah.
And in the 1980s. But that's what we're gonna watch. And the first film we're gonna watch for next month for my 5 weeks of John Carpenter, we're gonna be watching Assault on Precinct 13, the first film of the run.
I'm excited. I've never seen this movie before.
Really?
Yeah, and there's a couple films in this upcoming month I haven't seen, so I can't wait.
I am so excited because Assault on Precinct 13 is like one of the best siege movies. It is so good.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about it, so I'm not even worried, oh man, is it going to be boring? Is it going to be no, I'm excited to watch it.
On the lowest of keys, 5 minutes before we were going to start recording, I'm like, I wonder if I should switch over and do the last 5 films of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. I think you would have killed me. I think you might have that would have actually broken you, and you might have strangled me if I made you watch the remake and the remake prequel.
No, you just would have had to buy me a lot of Dr. Pepper to get me through this.
Sponsor us, Dr. Pepper. We're waiting.
Please.
But if you would like to follow us, and maybe if you want to try and sponsor us, where can they go?
Well, if you want to listen to us on a different platform than you currently are, you can find us on Anchor FM, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.
You can go to our YouTube channel, The Film Vault. That's The Film Vault on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, and we upload a video at least once every week, so come and check us out.
And if you want to follow us on social media, you can find us on Instagram at The Film Club Podcast, where we post upcoming episodes we're going to drop, trivia, our adventures, and a lot more things.
And with that, Miss Boo,
we'll see you next week at the Film Club.
Have a good week, everybody.